Hello, I'm Daniel and I own a 2020 Tesla Model Y long range with 64,000 miles on the odometer. And my battery recently died, so come along for the ride and leave your comments below as I talk about what happened, what Tesla did about it, and how much it cost. All right, now let's talk about the car and the battery. For a little bit of context, I bought this Tesla Model Y long range with wide interior and 20-inch wheels back in October of 2020. And the first thing I did after picking it up was go on a 48,000 mile, 18-month long road trip around the United States and Western Canada. That took me from California all the way out through the roasting deserts of the Pacific Southwest, into monsoonal floods in West Texas, down into the hot and humid areas of Miami, all the way up through DC, into northeastern Maine, across the frozen plains of the upper Midwest, into ice-covered peaks over the Canadian Rockies, down to Vancouver, and through the Pacific Northwest, through a whole lot of rain, and back into California. During that whole time, I charged the car primarily on superchargers. I'd charge maybe on 120 sometimes when I'd visit my parents, but for the most part, I was using high-speed DC chargers, which a lot of people say is not really good for a battery. Then once I got back to California at 48,000 miles, I moved into an apartment where I'm able to charge on a NEMA 515 outlet at 120 volts and 12 amps, which is the absolute slowest electricity you can get anywhere in the known universe. And then sometimes at work, I'm able to charge on a 240 volt charger if I'm able to get in time before everyone else has taken up all the chargers. So I have charged all over the map in every temperature scenario and every usage case scenario: hot, cold, fast, slow, everything in between. Also, I should mention, I like to drive this car like the sports car it is, but that goes to show I also have pushed the car's performance. So I will hit the accelerator and that battery is going to get a workout. So what even happened to my battery? Well, Tesla doesn't tell customers the size of the battery pack in any obvious way in kilowatt hours, and it also doesn't tell us what the usable battery capacity is in kilowatt hours, but there are various data points that you can use that I'll talk about a little bit later in the video about how you can calculate it. After running those calculations over the past 3 years, I've discovered that my battery degradation rate is only about 0.5% per 10,000 miles of travel. So that means I've only experienced about 3% or 3.5% of battery degradation since I picked up the car in 2020. I think that's spectacular. So when I was coming up on 64,000 miles and I would run the numbers, I could tell that I had a usable battery capacity somewhere around 69 to 69.5 kilowatt hours. Then I was running the numbers one weekend and calculated that it had gone down suddenly from 69 kilowatt hours down to 67 kilowatt hours, and I had never seen it decline that quickly before, unless I was in the dead of winter in the upper Midwest and frigid weather, and then the battery always warms up and the numbers come back, so I thought something was a little strange. Then I'm driving my car the following Monday night, and I get this error message that pops up on the display that says, maximum charge level and range may be reduced, and I was like, oh God. Here it comes, but then it said okay to drive, schedule a service appointment. It wasn't a major problem though. I just turned on the Tesla app and went to the service section and discovered that I could get some availability for an appointment. About 3 weeks away, the car was telling me that it was safe to drive. So I kept my eye on it for a couple days. I drove the car like normal. It charged, no big deal. I got that error message, but thought, okay, I'll just see it at the end of the month when I get the service appointment. Then 4 nights later, I get home and go to plug in on my 120 volt, 12 amp outlet. And the car tells me unable to charge. Maximum charge level reached. And I'm thinking, this is it. This is bad, bad news. So I contact Tesla support through the app and they're like, yeah, you might want to bring in the car, but we don't have any appointments for a little while. And I'm thinking, well, that's not going to work for me at all. I have a daily commute that ranges from 50 to 100 miles. And if I have an EV that can't charge above 30%, it's not an EV, it's just an e-paperweight. The next morning, I went to go take the car out for a drive, and then I was getting all these alerts anytime I would hit the accelerator or regen too hard. And I'm thinking, what am I supposed to do with this? There are no appointments. What's up? So I just decided to drive it to my local Tesla service center, and I kindly walked in and let them know that the vehicle is not functioning as a vehicle. And despite the fact that they had no available appointments, I was just going to leave my car there until they fixed it. And the good news is that the team at Tesla were super empathetic when I showed up, and they took my car. They did run a remote diagnostic, and they could tell that the high voltage battery pack had some issues in it, but they weren't too clear on details and just let me know that it would probably be a 1 to 2 week repair. And in the meantime, they would give me a loaner car, which I was super happy about, and I was on my way. As for the service experience, I won't complain. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't terrible. I got a loaner car, and that just made me happy. I've spoken with a lot of people online who don't get loaner cars when they have issues, so I was grateful for that. I ended up getting a Tesla Model 3 standard range. It was dirty when I picked it up though, so I spent a good 90 minutes hand washing and vacuuming it because I keep a clean car. And I think Tesla could have done a lot better there, but again, I'm not going to complain. I got a car. The funny thing is, number one, I really enjoyed driving that Tesla Model 3. It is way lower than these Ys, so it definitely felt like a sports car. You're way closer to the ground. The other thing that I noticed is that it only has a usable battery capacity of about 49 kilowatt hours. And when I came from my Y with a 69 kilowatt hour usable battery capacity after 3 years, and then you think of like a new Tesla Model Y that's somewhere around 78, I definitely felt it. That commute of mine of 50 to 100 miles a day, I was like charging all the time. The good news is that Tesla gave me unlimited supercharging with the car, and there's a supercharger about a mile away at a local Target. So that was really convenient, but still 49 kilowatt hours, man. I love my 69 kilowatt hour battery, and frankly, I'm the kind of guy who can't wait until they start sticking 100 kilowatt hour batteries or maybe even 115 in these things in the future. The rest of the service experience was fine enough. There were some misses here and there. One of them had to do with the Uber credit that I used to get from the service center to the airport for my 10-day vacation. They didn't activate it until 2 hours after I took the Uber, so I had to do some screenshots and get reimbursed. That was a little bit of a pain. Then I'm sitting at the terminal getting ready to board my flight, and Tesla calls me up and they're like, yeah, good news. Your car's ready. Come pick it up. And I was like, guys, why didn't you tell me that when I was there about 2 hours ago? Because I would have dropped it off at home really quick and then come to the airport. I can't pick it up because I'm about to board my flight. The service guy's like, well, maybe you can have a friend come pick it up? And I tell him no, because first of all, no one's ever driven my car before. And number two, no one has my key. Then he asks me, well, can we just drop it off in your garage? No, because you don't have the garage door opener because it's locked up in my apartment. And then he's like, well, maybe we can just leave it in your apartment complex guest parking. No, Tesla, you cannot do that because you don't have the parking pass that it needs to sit there for 10 days while I'm out of town. Tesla, just sit on my car, stick it in a corner in your lot somewhere and forget it, which apparently they did. So later that night, I fly across the country and I'm about to go to bed and I turn on my app. I'm super excited that the battery was fixed and I wanted to see if they had plugged it in, if they were going to give me a free charge, which they did. And I look at my car app and I see that my vehicle is totally unlocked. In the San Francisco Bay Area, my Tesla Model Y is sitting with the door totally unlocked for anybody to just crawl in. Tesla, thanks for repairing the battery. Even a week faster than you originally told me that you were going to do it. That's spectacular. Please do not leave my car unlocked. Next time, it has to stay on your lot for 10 days. So let's wrap this up with a discussion of two final topics. Number one, how can you calculate the usable battery capacity in your Tesla, even though the Tesla doesn't really tell it to you? And then what happened to my battery and how did it get replaced and what was that whole experience? Now, the first one is actually pretty straightforward. If you go to the energy consumption tab where it shows you your 5 mile, 15 mile, and 30 mile efficiency, you're going to see the watt hour per mile number, and then you're going to see the remaining range given your battery percentage charge. All you have to do is the following. Divide 1,000 by the watt hour per mile number. That will get you your miles per kilometer. And then with the remaining miles listed there on the right side of that graph, all you do is divide that remaining miles number by your miles per kilowatt hour, and that will tell you what the car believes to be the amount of kilowatt hours in your battery at that exact moment in time. Then to see what the total capacity is, you just divide that by your current battery charge listed as a percentage. Everyone's going to be different when you run these numbers, but in general, that will give you a pretty good handle of what your car thinks its usable battery capacity is. Now, a little caveat here, that number will go up and down a little bit. The colder the weather, the lower it will go just because of basic battery chemistry and the energy you have available to you in cold weather. And other times it will go a little higher. Now, if you track that number over time, you'll be able to see any long-term changes in it. So I never thought that battery degradation was going to be a problem with my battery. However, one week it just died. So now let's finish up with the battery. Tesla replaced the battery within the 120,000 mile 8-year warranty for free. Super easy. Dropped off my car. A week later, I had a new pack. Now, it was a refurbed new pack. A lot of people online have freaked out when I've talked about my experience with them, that they seem to think that they would want or should deserve a brand new battery pack. I'm going to be realistic about this whole EV thing. Any company that has refurb parts in their service and support model is going to try to get you a refurbed like new part rather than a new one. It's just more economically responsible that way. And if a refurb battery pack functions like new, I don't think it really matters. And the other thing is like my new battery pack croaked after 64,000 miles, so I'm not exactly sure a new one is going to be any better than a refurb one. And in fact, the refurb ones can be better because they've had eyes on them and they fix anything that was built wrong during manufacturing. I'm super happy with this refurb pack. As I mentioned before, I started with what I understood to be a 72 usable kilowatt hour capacity, which then declined to around 69.5. My refurb one is up around 74 to 75. I'm super surprised by that, because if it's a 75 kilowatt hour battery pack, Tesla's giving me like 100% access to it, which is pretty impressive. Or maybe they gave me some better one, or I don't know, but 74 to 75 kilowatt hours is 5 to 6 better than what I was working with before it died. That adds, I don't know, 18, 21 extra miles of range. And I do a lot of long distance driving in the middle of nowhere. So I'll tell you what, I will take that extra 18 miles any day. So Tesla, thank you for that. That has been truly spectacular. The only real criticism though I have of this whole experience is my battery did die at 64,000 miles. We keep hearing how EV batteries are supposed to last for like hundreds of thousands of miles. And maybe they do in most cases, but in my case it didn't. I have a battery that died at 64,000 miles. My warranty will expire at 120,000 miles. And in case any of you were wondering, your warranty does not reset with the refurbed pack. At 120,000 miles, you're done. So if you need 5 refurbed packs before 120,000 miles, you're going to get them. But after 120,000 miles, you're on the hook for it. And as we all know, EV batteries are not cheap. To the best of my understanding, right now they're going $8,000 to $13,000 for a new pack or a replacement. And I don't even know if that's a refurb pack. It's a problem. If we're to believe that EVs are supposed to be cheaper to own and operate over the long haul, it is going to be a tricky situation in the marketing department for EVs if it turns out that, yeah, you save a whole lot of money for 119,999 miles, and at the end of that, your battery dies and you're on the hook for an $8,000 to $13,000 replacement. Well, there go all your savings. And then society has to ask this big question, is it even worth it? There are a lot of reasons why the answer would still be yes, but from a consumer's point of view, it's a big red flag. And you know what would solve this, Tesla, if you're watching? A little more information for us consumers to understand real-world battery longevity and understanding what real-world costs are going to be projected to be in a couple years so that we know what we're going to face as consumers with out-of-warranty batteries. Cybertruck alert while I was filming this clip this evening on my way home from work. Now, one final thing. I'm on a lot of Tesla boards all over the internet, so I have spoken with countless people about their experiences with their Tesla. I am happy to report that very, very few people are reporting premature battery death like I experienced. That is really good news. Some people do, so I don't want to underestimate the significance of a battery death, but they don't seem to be particularly common. The good news is that the repair experience was easy, it's free, fast, and convenient. I can't complain about that. But I do want to hear from all of you in the comments below your thoughts about battery replacement, if you think battery costs are going to come down, if you think batteries are going to last as long as everyone's saying they are, or maybe if they are. I'd love to see the statistics and hear your feedback. And if you drive a gasoline-powered car, feel free to submit your ideas too about all your thoughts on this whole topic, because I know you got them. And I know you've got them when I drive by your cars and I see them on fire on the side of the road. All right, let's chat later and have a great day.